All right, howdy, and welcome back to the channel. Something a little bit different today. We're not gonna take a 109 series on a trip. That's an absolutely terrible idea. We're gonna take something a little bit more practical. This is a D2. This is a Land Rover Discovery that is one, currently for sale. Two, a friend of mine's recent acquisition, and it's a really, really nice version of what some people say the worst version of the Disco series. And today, in this video, we're going to take it on a thorough test drive, and we're not going to do it in normal Range Rover, Land Rover style. We're going to do what these things will do once it's sold, and we'll probably have always done until that point: drive it around, take it on a little road trip. Going to go out in the Powhatan area, and I really want to, spend a couple minutes or a little bit longer kind of going through what it's like to daily one of these things, which this is most likely what's going to end up happening with this truck, since it only has 11 or 12,000 miles, which is pretty wild for a late model Disco. Usually they're all around 150. Usually they all need head gaskets. Usually nothing works in them. Usually the rear subframe is rusted out, but that is not the case for this truck. It's in immaculate condition. That has amazing looking paint. The interior is in great condition. There's no rust on it. Absolutely unbelievable compared to some of the other garbage that we've looked at. I mean, this is hands down the nicest D2 for sale. One, unapologetic advertisement. Or that I've seen, and I'm not an expert or anything like that, but I have seen a few of these Discos and classics and whatnot, and this one is by far the absolute cleanest. So without any further ado, let's jump in, take it for a spin, and kind of test the road manners out, and kind of get into the reasons and the good and the bad things of why people love these trucks so much. So take it for a spin. All right, so let's jump into it. I'm going to do this in reverse order. We're going to drive it first, and then we're going to do a walk around and kind of show the condition of the interior and whatnot. Right off the bat, it feels like most of the other Range Rovers I've driven. The power plant for these trucks, it varies obviously over the extenuated lifespan that it had. The Buick block was brought all the way up to a 4.6 liter in the last iteration of the Disco. And it doesn't seem to, by butt horsepower feel like it makes an incredibly larger amount of power. But it is a very smooth powertrain, and it is adequate for, cruising around. Obviously these trucks got heavier and heavier as time went on, as the power increased, just like most larger vehicles. So again, that's really nothing to really go on about, unless we're going off-road and using low range and whatnot. That's not really, in my opinion, a talking point for a Land Rover of this generation, unless it was supercharged, which they never did supercharge these. So, but let's get into it. Mileage, incredibly low, 111,000 miles. This one didn't have any head gasket issues, no major mechanical issues, but because, historically there are head gasket and head stud issues, he went and got those replaced, and the truck has brand new head gasket. Again, not because there's anything going wrong with it, just because preventative maintenance, that is what a potential buyer would want to see done as far as the maintenance history if it was not on the Carfax. There was no record of it. So that is a stroke of confidence that really would give a potential buyer that warm fuzzy when bidding on it. And if you were to buy the truck, it definitely ensures the lifespan of it, because this is going to go for a pretty penny. But back to this particular truck, interior great condition. Nothing really to be said here. It does have an aftermarket radio, call for what it is, but it is functional. It gives you Bluetooth and all that. I haven't turned the AC on, but I'll run that in a little bit once we get out of the neighborhood. But again, Rides super smooth, no real creaks or noises from the interior. Track straight is nice and smooth. Visibility is amazing. I remember, back in my beginning automotive journey when I was before high school, I was detailing cars. I didn't even have a driver's license yet, and we used to kind of drive these around. We used to get all the dealer trade-ins and whatnot. And I was always annoyed at the layout of the steering wheel, and I still kind of am. I mean, it has a good feel to it, but the massive airbag that kind of takes up the whole middle of it, it looks a little stubby. Visually it's not very pleasing, but that's not really what 4x4 steering wheels are meant for. So that was always my first kind of gripe, which isn't really a gripe anymore for me. I think I have more positives to say about the driving position and the visibility these days. Again, commanding captaincy position, you definitely sit up high. I can rest my arm on the sill of the door panel, which is great. That's a big plus in my book, and something that you don't really get in a car these days. You're always having your arm way up here, so something that I'm not mad about at all. Let's take it on the highway and see how it feels. All right, let me put my foot down, and it gives it the beans. That was the half beans, I guess. Let me try that again. Let's see if it'll kick down. Actually, let me put it in the sport mode that this transmission has, which who knows why that happens, because grocery getter, foot down, drops down a gear, it moves. It's not fast. Like I said, it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference, 4.2 to 4.6 to 3.9. The only one that really makes a difference is the 3.5, which can't even get out of its own way. So, like I said before, nothing really to write home about the power. It gets down the road, and it's fine. I'm sure the fuel mileage is probably around 17, 18. Real life, really probably 16. The other surprising, fact about D2s is the very high tow rating. Tow ratings for this class of truck have kind of gone up and down. They used to go up a lot, and let's see if I can beat this. There you go. Perfect. In the early 90s, when these, sport utility SUVs came out, the towing rating, they would continually go up, which, I think has kind of gone down in recent years just because of the lack of body-on-frame architecture. But this was in a very interesting time period where 7,700 pounds, I think it is, for a pretty short wheelbase truck. I mean, I know it's rear-wheel drive and pretty solid construction, but that's a lot of weight. And in Europe, these things are used potentially agriculturally and as grocery getters, but a little bit of both. They offer diesel engines, but I don't think I would feel super comfortable towing 7,000 pounds behind this. I would like to do it one time. It would be fun, but probably not the best application for towing that much weight, honestly. But to check back in, driving characteristics, let me see. So we're running about 2,800 RPM at about 76 miles per hour in sport mode. If I turn it off, RPM stay the same, but the steering wheel is smooth, wheels are balanced properly. As far as the ride quality goes, it's very good, and it's as it should be. All right, a little more into the immediate features. A lot of off-road bits and bobs. This is before they had the rotary dial for the different modes. So again, pretty standard setup. Manual transfer case actuation with the diff locks. The 04 and 03 had the hill descent control, and it has electronic stability control, and I think it'll grab a wheel or two if it senses slippage. Obviously, this is not the video we're doing any type of off-road, but again, same setup as a 95 Classic or a D1, just slightly modified with the HVAC digital layout and whatnot. you know, it didn't change all that much, but there was definitely a slight change with the D2 from the D1. Yeah, you got the updated gauges, the updated steering wheel controls. The stalks are about the same. You got these wonky cup holders that don't really do a whole lot. You know, the other massive positive feature about these, you can call it for what it is, both of these sunroofs work, and the headliner has been replaced, so it doesn't have the droopy, leaky sunroof headliner issue. If I could come up with an acronym for that, I would, but every single one of these leaks, none of the sunroofs ever work. They're all sealed shut, but in this model, in this particular example, it's all functional, it all looks good, and it all, you know, it works and doesn't leak. So that's a huge bonus for potential buyers, and, you know, for livability. You know, and this I'm assuming this truck probably won't end up as a trail truck, but if someone's going to continue to keep it pretty and drive around and use it as a daily, it's got everything functional, and that's a big deal, especially when it comes to, you know, some of the issues that plague these trucks when they're not maintained. So trying to think of anything else off the bat. You know, standard Land Rover layout for the window controls, heated seats, you know, all your normal amenities. It is kind of a pain to get to your seat controls. I'm always kind of bumping into them. I always forget they're there. But again, that's just a minor gripe. It's the same thing in a D1, not that different. Legroom's good. Again, seating position's good. You know, it really is a pretty enjoyable driving experience, and it does feel much different from the other vehicles in this class. It feels bigger than it is, as far as, you know, substance and driving feel. Again, this is not a big vehicle. It can hold a lot. You know, it has, you know, seating for 5 comfortably. You know, if it wasn't just the two of us, I would have no problem putting other adults in the back seat. Again, I'm 6'2", and I fit back there fine, which definitely adds an additional layer of functionality to this truck that maybe a 4th gen 4Runner or a Ford Explorer of the same era really didn't. You know, there's pretty cramped back seats, and there's not a lot of full-size or almost full-size trucks that can really fit everyone comfortably and have enough power to tow and move things along. So as far as versatility is concerned, you know, they packed a lot into this package, especially as the model year and as the model as the, I guess, the generation of the D2 you know, came to a close. I mean, these are very, you know, for the time, very luxurious, very nice, has all your basic amenities plus some, you know. So, you know, it works. It works. What it comes down to is I really like to kind of pick apart the appeal of the buyer back in the day when comparing this to something comparable of why they would go with this one. And it's a nice place to be. And I really do see why, you know, on a test drive on the lot, someone would pick one of these and drive it home, because it feels nice. And even, you know, 15 years later, it still feels nice, which is pretty impressive. Compared to other cars of the region. I mean, these things, they hold up if maintained properly. All right, so we're gonna get passenger numero dos opinion of the D2.
You really like just putting me on the spot there.
I do like putting you on the spot. This is real world, right now impressions.
Well, plus it's somebody who has no car knowledge. But,
that's fine.
All right, well, just to echo what you said, first impression, when you get in, you definitely feel like you're sitting a lot higher than in a normal car. And something that I really like about a lot of these, which this one's no different, is all the grip that they have up here. It's really convenient to put your phone or keys or whatever, and just not have stuff sliding all over the place, which is what happens in a lot of other vehicles. It's comfortable, air conditioning works. We haven't tried the radio yet, but I'm betting that also works. I did have some issue like getting my seatbelt to pull out originally when I first got in, but I just had to adjust the height and then I had no issue. But yeah, that's pretty much my first thoughts. I like it. It's smooth. I don't know what else to say.
Would you buy one? See, but what you said right there really, you know, is the you know, the backbone of the person that potentially would have bought this car in 04. I don't know anything about cars, but I like this one. And I can't tell me how many people have said that about a older or a newer Rover, and how older and newer Rover buyers still say the same thing. where they go, I don't know a lot about cars, but I like this, and I like it better than some of the other comparable models. So, you know, even though you might not feel, you know, super confident in your opinion to judge it one way or the other, I think you hit the nail on the head as far as why these trucks appeal to people. And for some reasons, they don't even know, but they just do. And again, that really kind of breaks down to, you know, the silver lining that a lot of these trucks, you know, have within. That, yes, they do have issues. Yes, if they're not maintained, you can have problems. But the majority of them are probably still on the road, and the owners are super happy with them. There's a reason why you see a bunch of D1s and D2 beat up, you know, in a parking lot somewhere with a pack of cigarettes in them, and there's no paint on them. But you know what? Those guys and gals have been driving those things all over the place for the last 15, 20 years, and they love them, and they don't want to get rid of them. So there's two sides of that coin. Yeah, another thing I'm noticing with this particular truck, no drivetrain whine, no drivetrain noise besides a slight drone of the V8. No drivetrain lash either. If you get on and off the throttle, there's not a bunch of clunking and clinking going on. It feels tight, it feels solid, and it feels like it's very accurately representing the mileage shown. And that's, you know, that's something that carries a lot of weight in my book, because even at a certain amount of mileage, you can definitely feel, you know, whether or not a truck has been maintained and cared for by some of those, you know, smaller, you know, greasing drive shafts and gibos and all the little bits and bobs that kind of go into a well-maintained car. You know, over the years of driving terrible examples, you can quickly identify one that's not that. And I think we're hitting that nail on the head. You know, just cruising through the countryside in this one. You know, we're going 65 miles an hour. It doesn't even feel like it, which again is kind of the beauty of these big old trucks. All right, so we finally reached our Land Rover destination. It's a nice little brewery in Central Virginia here. Kind of perfect backdrop to do a quick walk around on the truck as well. You know, again, this is where you're gonna end up driving this. And it blends in perfectly. The design is aged well. It's timeless, it's boxy, and it really appeals to pretty much everybody at this point. Whether you like the brand or don't like the brand, it's such an iconic shape that, you know, you can't look away, and most people who don't even know cars, you know, have some or can form an opinion on whether they like it or not. But let's just real quick go through it, kind of show you what it looks like under there. Oh man, look at that frame. Unbelievable. I mean, that is, you don't see, again, I think this was a Southern truck before it was brought here, but that's better than new. Which actually in the Land Rover world is pretty accurate description. It's got the aftermarket metal bumper and the step as well. Mud flaps, at least in the back. I don't see the front ones, but that's okay. They're probably easier to source than the rear ones, honestly. Right, there's the frame on the passenger side. I mean, that's something to talk about, guys. That is some water cooler chat-worthy information if I've ever seen it. Coming around underneath, I mean, no leaks, no drips. The lights are nice and clear. Again, paint looks great. A lot of these have terrible fading, clear coat issues, and some oxidization even under the clear coat I've seen. But this one looks pretty good. Roof looks good. You know, no fading or hazing or cracking on the roof of it either. So again, lots of positive features. And I forgot, this is actually this is an SE7, so it is a 7-seater, as you can see in the back there. So let's jump inside real quick. Factory key. Everything works as it should. Jump in the back. It's a little dirty. I think again he still drives it, so that's kind of how you want to see it, honestly. But let me jump in. Again, 6'2", I can perfectly fit back here with a lot of room, honestly. Pretty commanding view of the front and the back. Even so, your back passengers have pretty much also the same amount of view. And I always thought the back of these were so cool with the fold down jump seats and the fold down upper headrests as well. I mean, you've got the audio controls integrated in the back as well. You've got the cargo cover. I mean, it really is a lot of neat features that, you know, you might have been glossed over at the time, but even today, they're still pretty interesting. I don't know if I mentioned before, the other awesome fact is the captain's chairs in the front with the very classic Land Rover armrests, which make a huge difference for long trips as well, especially since they're captain's chair configuration. But again, I've got the functioning sunroofs, vents back here, super nice place to be. Like the classic throwback. I mean, my 89 even has this same ashtray. But again, you know, nice place to be. It's airy, it's roomy. You've got the, just like the new Defenders, the old Defenders and the old series trucks, the top windows, the individual shades. I mean, lots of interesting little features all packed into this small little package, and for the better. So let's pop the hood and check how she looks under the hood. Fires right up. No dash lights. Disco, 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 disco. Oh, got it. Super clean under here. Remember, new head gaskets, ARP head studs, no ticks, no noises, nothing really to talk about. It's kind of like how I like to hear it. Make sure that's shut. But yeah, nice little growl from the V8. Super smooth. And yeah, that's really about it. I think it's time for me to go in and enjoy a cold beverage. But again, thank you for watching. That's my quick opinions on this 2004 Land Rover Discovery SE7. This truck's currently for sale on Bring and Show. The auction's live. Hey, I'm interested in it, and I'm sure a lot of other viewers out there will be too. Whether or not I post this video before or after the sale, haven't made up my mind yet. But again, I get it. Haven't really done a whole lot with D2s recently. I'm probably gonna end up getting into one at some point as time goes on, seeing how they got more and more of a following. But again, I'm probably not gonna find one that is this good or this clean of an example. This is way too clean for me, but I do see the appeal. So that's all I got for the video today, guys. Appreciate you tuning in, and feel free to subscribe and check out the rest of the channel. Thanks.